Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Psycho Gold, this is Psycho Gold Video. And after a week's break, we are back in the world of the Goblin Slayer. Now, I didn't watch episode 10.5 because it was just a recap episode, so if I've missed anything important by not watching it, oh well. Hopefully not. I haven't heard anything important come from that episode, so fingers crossed it won't be an issue. Now, at the end of the actual episode 10, we had that cliffhanger where Goblin Slayer checked his usual lookouts for evidence that goblins had been around town, and it was looking clear up until the last moments of the episode, and then poof, all those footprints appeared, or were there to be found, however you want to look at it. And it was kind of that moment of, oh. And yeah, goblins had obviously scouted out the place during the night, which means that they're probably going to come back in greater numbers and in force. They're much like sand people in that regards, thinking about it. But anyway, so we're going to find out on this particular episode what exactly Goblin Slayer plans to do about it. And yeah, I suspect it's going to be something particularly vicious and bloody. So come and join me as we discover for ourselves just what exactly he's going to do. Because I don't think he's going to be particularly well hinged about this. Let's find out. 3, 2, 1, go. A Gathering of Adventurers. That's an interesting title for the episode. Run? Does that mean that they're going to come back during the day? Or is he just telling her to get out of town? Well, it's not a town, but you know what I mean. Get the hell out of Dodge! What? He can't defeat the goblins? Judging from their numbers. What? What are we looking at? Oh! Okay. So it's it's the Goblin Lord, apparently, not a Goblin Lord. A Horde. For the Horde! Oh, good. Her PTSD is finally showing through, so she has it as well. Well, it's the first time I've heard him doubt himself. Normally, he's like, I can kill anything, but he said he can kill them in their caves, but it is, A, they're out in the open, and B, there's a lot of them. Oh! Okay. I thought she was going to say she's going to stay. That's what I thought she was going to say. Well, I was going to say, this is emotional. I was going to say, I'm not sure you can. I mean, you can, but imagining and experiencing very different things. Damn, getting flashbacks to the first episode. Well, this is more emotional than I was expecting from Goblin Slayer. I think this is the most dialogue we've gotten out of Cowgirl in any of the episodes. It's like, it's nice to hear her talk. Aww. So, they've both just resigned to the fact that they're probably both gonna die. Horrifically. And they're like, yep, I'm doing this. Is he gonna ask all of them for help? Oh, Jesus, sorry guys. I've got something in my throat that won't shift. Yep. He needs your assistance. I was gonna say, this has never happened! Oh, hello! Now they've woken up! Finally, someone reacted strongly to the fact that goblins are coming. So it's time for the whole guild to roll out! Right, so what is it that they think that he's gonna do? Well, that was unexpected, and not quite what I was... Yeah, interesting. Come on then. Just buy me a drink later. So that's all he was asking for. Well, I love the way that they're, like, making him agree to stuff. They've been with him for ages now. How did I know it was going to be cheese? Oh, ice cream as well. Then they will die. No harm will come to the cheese or the ice cream. Yeah, we all knew that the witch was going to stand up at last. What? The guild itself is actually... Wow, okay. That this is all because he's the one who... who slew the goblins in your hometown? Oh, wow. Okay. So it's all coming together. So I was right. The whole guild is going to come together at long last. Ah, those two low levels. They're like, well, surely we can kill a few goblins, right? Oh, wow. Everybody's finding excuses to come and help him. But where is Priestess? Aren't we missing her? There she is. Yeah, I was gonna say, you'd have come along for free. And he knew that for a change. I wonder if he'll have any, like, shamans or hobs. Oh, yeah, got my answer straight away. Looks like there's a mix of everything. Shamans, archers, hobs. Maybe even a champion hiding in there somewhere. Oh, what? Well, that's just wrong. I mean, there are many things, but you can't say that you're going to have any sympathy for these goblins, can you? Oh, I was going to say, there is this faint dust. I thought I could see it. Oh, they've got the two wizards together. Oh, they're signaling for the next part of the plan to activate. What else have they... Oh. Were they hiding in wait, I take it? Yeah, you went right into a trap, dudes. Okay, that's the most badass he's looked in a while. Yeah, they're trying to flank him. They've got wolf riders. Okay, we haven't actually seen them before. Okay, I'm liking this. This is a really cool episode. Instead of everybody just sat around the guild hall, we actually get to see them not only do stuff, but they're working together. Oh, they put up those spike barricades. Damn. Oh, damn. I mean, the Lizard Man has never been this, like, I don't want to say scary, but like with his weapons and the way he's wielding it. I wish he'd been like that in some of the other episodes. He's been a bit more tame and laid back, you know? Oh, he knew they would use those meat shields. Ah. Oh, so he... Okay, so he knew everything they were going to do. Interesting. So what's next then, I wonder? Oh, no. I've got a funny feeling that they've strayed too far from the strategy. Yeah. Not expecting a catapulted... Whoa! Okay, there were a lot more bigger ones than I realized. So, there's a champion and a load of... Oh my lord! 2 champions and a load of hobs. Yeah, you're right, Goblin Slayer. You wouldn't have been able to deal with this on your own. Wow, they are literally not even bothered by this. Oh, okay, so this is when the more experienced members are going to have to pull out all the stops. I'm fine with that. Let's see what they got. What? That dude's strong enough to go head to head. Wait, so he's more used to dealing with hobs than goblins. The Goblin Lord ain't gonna get very far. Out of the shadows like a freaking beast. Oh, look at him. If you saw that coming out of an alleyway, you wouldn't feel confident, would you? Oh, that's a really weird place to end the episode, but alright. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was Goblin Slayer episode 11, and yeah, that was the kind of hype episode I was hoping that we would get for a penultimate episode. I believe next week's is the finale episode. I believe there is only 12 episodes. I could be wrong, there might be 13, but I think there's only 12. I can't friggin' wait. It's gonna show us what happens between the veteran adventurers and the hobs and the champion, and we're gonna get to see Goblin Slayer go up against the Goblin Lord. Now, first thing I gotta get off my chest is, a lot of people told me that this was gonna be the storyline for this episode because, basically, this storyline should have happened already. If you're reading the source material, this storyline happens before the storyline in Watertown. Now, I can kind of see both sides of the coin. On the one hand, depending on what happens in the next episode, I can see it fitting into the storyline and going straight into Watertown. But at the same time, depending on how, like, word for word of a translation from pages to animation this is, I can see why they made the decision to swap the storylines around, because I really don't think we're losing anything by doing so. And I also think that this is definitely a better way to end the anime, with everyone in the guild coming together in order to fight off goblins to protect Cowgirl's farm. And it is just one of those things that I just think makes more sense. Now, with that said, had it been the other way around and we'd had these episodes against the Goblin Lord first, and then we'd had the episodes in Watertown, it still would have made complete sense, because it sets up the idea that they come from a portal, they had to deal with a beholder. The only thing that maybe wouldn't have been as epic, in fact, it wouldn't have been as epic, is seeing a Goblin champion after we've just seen 2 Goblin champions in this episode wouldn't have worked, and seeing a whole horde of hobs, and it's like, Now, don't get me wrong, it is still an epic fight, because obviously you get Goblin Slayer going against the roll of the dice to die, and you get them fighting a Goblin champion on their own, whereas obviously in this instance they have the whole help of the guild. And I get how that could be the next progression after this, because this ends with them finding that mirror, which is a portal to a Goblin camp. But I just think that in the case of the anime, it makes more sense for them to do it the way that they have, because this is a much more epic ending, and I think that's what they're going for here. You know, they wanted to keep the smaller stuff contained. Like, you've been introduced to every element throughout the series of what exactly the Goblin elite monsters can be, and then in this episode, you've gotten all of them. So we've literally got every single threat that we've had in the entire season so far, and they've reminded us that they really, 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 really do not treat women correctly. To put it mildly. I mean, not only using them as shields is one thing, but the fact that they have clearly, I don't know how to phrase this nicely, but obviously they've stripped them, and they're clearly ones that they've been abusing for a while, and it's like, really? Like the elf said, how low can you guys go? And it's like, but these goblins are also good in the fact of they're not trying to give them any redeeming qualities whatsoever. You know, you want someone like Goblin Slayer to come along and rip them to shreds, and that was the very same emotion that this show gave you in the first episode. And I think, in all honesty, it kind of lost that as the series went on. Not because there was any good goblins out there, or because there was any particular episode where I didn't think they were that menacing, but I think seeing them use the shields in that light, seeing this many of them, seeing that Goblin champion rip one of the adventurers, you know, with his teeth, and then hurl the other one's body into the rest of them, it's kind of a reminder that A, they're dangerous, B, they're terrifying, but C, they're also completely and utterly morally bankrupt, and they just have no, like, soul whatsoever. They are literally monsters. They are the definition of the bad guy. And I'm happy with that. It makes a change to have a show that just knows how to make a good, monstrous enemy for the adventurers to fight. They're not worrying about this being a sentient species. They're not worrying about the fact that, you know, the goblins have their own point of view. They might have their own point of view. It's the wrong one. There is no excuse for the things that they do to the people that they capture, and time again, they've just demonstrated how absolutely ruthless and savage they are. Not just brutal, but it's their savagery that kind of justifies the savagery that they get back at them. Now, the fact that they had to take out a load of wolves was kind of disappointing. Not because I didn't get it, and especially back then, you know, attacking the mounts of the riders was quite commonplace. It makes perfect strategical sense to do so, but I don't like the fact that obviously they have to kill the animals, regardless of the reasons why. But again, it's animation, it's, you know, not like they actually filmed it, and even if they did, they'd be CGI, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like, I don't want to cheer for that bit, even though I get it, and yes, in the same situation, of course you're going to do the same thing. It's either that or the wolf's going to take your throat out with its teeth. So, you know, it's one of those things, but even so, it was kind of like, oh, come on, man, kill the goblins, the wolves could be on your side, but obviously that's not realistic. But yeah, man, when all those hobs came out of that forest, it was like, okay, didn't see that coming. Like, obviously, I gathered that the hobs were going to come out, but there was like 3 or 4 of them. And then when they actually come out, it's like, no, there's a lot more of them than that. And then one champion comes out behind them, finally demonstrating the size difference. Like, Jesus, they're bigger than their hobgoblin brethren. And then the second one comes out with, like, I think he was holding like a mace. And I was just like, okay, this might be difficult for them to fight. But Maid, who hasn't particularly been that much of a likable character this season, he's like in his element now. And the fact that the witch turned around and was like, oh, yeah, well, to be fair, he actually has more experience dealing with hobgoblins than he does regular goblins. And it's like, oh, alright then, maybe the Goblin Slayer went to the right person to ask for help. Clearly he knew what this guy was capable of. Like, has he taken out several hobgoblins in the past like they're nothing? Because obviously he doesn't think, you know, none of them think very highly of going after goblins, but I think deep down quite a lot of them do recognize the importance of doing it. They're just happy that the Goblin Slayer exists so that they don't have to do it. Like, there is someone out there who has dedicated their existence to being the man who takes the goblin quest, and it's like, excellent, we don't have to do it, so we can just concentrate on, I don't know, taking out cyclopses and dragons and being, you know, famous adventurers and whatnot, and going on quests across the land, and Goblin Slayer will just go after the goblin dens. Perfect! You know, and it was that kind of coming together in the guild hall that I really liked. Like, they all found their reasons to want to help him. Now, admittedly, the fact that the guild hall did offer 1 gold coin per goblin head is kind of interesting as well. Like, it's not, you want to think that they came together because Goblin Slayer asked and because the other adventurers decided to help, but at the same time, it's like, how many people are just there because of the gold coin reward? But obviously, as we saw with that warrior and the paladin in training, there's no real way that anyone's ever going to really know, because that guy says that he's only there because they put on the reward, but obviously the paladin turned around and was like, no, you want to go and help because he saved your village from goblins. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's an interesting development. I kind of like that. And I love seeing all of these people that we've just seen out and about in the town. Like, we got the newbies, we got the veterans, we got people who we haven't really even seen in the guild hall. Like, we saw a lot of people training outside, like, you know, thinking about possibly opening a training hall. But that's the first time I think they've actually been in the guild. And the fact that they've all come together, and it's like, this is great seeing everybody take out goblins as a whole unit. And obviously we've got our mate, the dwarf, the elf, and the lizard man. And like I said, the lizard man in this episode, he was like, who needs the rest of you? I got this! And he was just taking them apart left, right, and center. Like, he was cleaving limbs with every single movement. It was like, where was this in the last episodes, man? We could have used this when you were trapped underwater town. But then I suppose because he's such a big dude in his own right, it's difficult for him to properly use his fighting style underground. He probably actually excels above ground. He has much more open space to freely swing himself around, and you know, he's quite agile for a big creature. So maybe this is an advantage for him. Like, he can fight underground, but actually he's much more lethal when he's got lots of open space, and obviously he is being supported by quite a few other people. Like, I love the moment when you thought the arrows were gonna get a couple of them, and then they just whoosh swung off to the right hand side because the witch had cast deflect missiles across the area, and it's like, that's a clever thing to do. I like that. This whole episode, man, was just one great thing after another. The only thing, like I said, that was so completely out of left field was the opening where Cowgirl and Goblin Slayer were having a conversation. I mean, that was just like, okay, thank you for these feels. I didn't really need them, nor was I expecting them. Like, Cowgirl refusing to leave and her having her flashbacks along with Goblin Sled was just kind of a really emotional moment. And obviously, you couldn't see Goblin Slayer's reactions, but it's pretty obvious that he was upset by the fact that she was not, you know, choosing not to leave, and she was reliving everything, and she was like, oh, I can imagine what they'll do to me. And he's like, no, you can't. I mean, you can, but you really can't. And, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, I get what she's doing, but at the same time, I really did expect Goblin Slayer to actually just knock her out and take her into town, and like leave her in the guild hall or something, because it is quite ridiculous. Now, obviously, there's so many people defending the farm, it doesn't matter now, but like when he didn't know, you know, what he was gonna do, I honestly thought that's what he was gonna do, like take the decision out of her hands and just you know, cart her away in the thing that he normally carries and put her in the guild hall and be like, you know, she's gonna stay here, here's the gold, and, you know, lock the door, essentially. But to my surprise, he didn't do that. You know, he kind of just thought about it and decided that he would do whatever it takes to get the entire guild to come and render their assistance. Unfortunately, the guild has lost at least one member. I suspect it's actually two, but it was very unclear if the second guy was just critically injured or if he was actually dead at the time of taking flight. But, you know, like I said, we'll go with 2 fatalities, but even so, like, it's still much, much more likely that they'll be able to achieve victory. I mean, they've practically already beaten the regular Goblin Horde. It's just whether or not these big dudes are going to come along and wipe the floor with them. You know, they got all of their, like, less confident members to stand back, but you've still got the archers on the roof. You've still got the 2 mages, the dwarf and the witch, and you think, can they not lend a hand, or are they, like, saying that they're not necessary? Like, all the big veteran melee fighters enjoy fighting hobgoblins because it's like, finally, a challenge, you know? It's just interesting. I just really like the whole thing. In short, I think that this episode had a really nice progression, like, from all the other episodes that we've seen. I really like how this has come together and ended, and as I say, it might be a different order to how it was done in the books, and I'm sure it makes perfect sense the way it's done in the books, but having not read the book, as an anime-only perspective, I'm thoroughly okay with the way that this show has unfolded, and I'm really enjoying what is, for me, the conclusion storyline. Like I said, seeing everybody come together was just really, really cool, and all of the fights that they had, the strategy that Goblin Slayer used to ambush them was really good, and, you know, hopefully everybody is just going to come together now and finish the fight in the next episode. And I can't wait for the next episode, man. Next Saturday is going to be a really cool episode, I think. It will probably be the last anime that I watch in 2018, unless there's an episode of Slime, but I got a funny feeling someone said Slime will be taking a break. Could be wrong. Let me know if you know. But if it is, then it's going to be a hell of a last episode to enter the 2018 year on, and I can't wait. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me for this particular episode. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments down there, please, letting me know what you thought of this episode. And if you're new around here and you enjoy Goblin Slayer, feel free to go and check out the playlist. You can see my reactions to all of the other episodes, and if there isn't a reaction available, there will be a redirect in the playlist. I think all my playlists are sorted now in terms of redirects. Might be the occasional one that's missing, but feel free to let me know. And if you find yourself enjoying the reactions and the discussions and whatever else it is I decide to do on this channel, you might want to consider subscribing, because I'm only just getting started and I'm hoping that 2019 is going to be a bigger year yet. So with that said, all that remains for me is to say that I am Psycho Gold, and I will see you in my next video. Psycho Gold, out!